Welcome, everybody, back to the We Don't Know Jack podcast. Got a whole crew here today. Got Emily's here.
I'm here.
She's here. We got her boyfriend, Ben, who's
Howdy.
already causing issues over here.
I'm giving you money. How's that issues?
And we got Casey in studio again. Not on the phone. He's in studio today.
Oh, yeah.
Casey, how's life?
Still vertical. Ooh, I got $2 now.
That's good.
Go buy cheese curds with. Here's 3.
Told you.
All right, guys. So, children, we ready over there?
I'm ready to go.
We got a really exciting guest today. We're really excited to have him. We have a one-legged kickboxer. He's an amputee, and he's a kickboxer. His name's Sam Schaefer. Welcome to the show, Sam. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. I think it's the first time I've gotten to be introduced as a one-legged kickboxer, so that's fun.
Do you like that? Is that okay?
I played G.I. Joe for a little while. I got called way worse.
It was a compliment. It was.
Yeah, I know. No, I'll just say, I got called way worse when I was active duty, so I'll take one-legged kickboxer. It's also a recent accolade.
Did you just start kickboxing?
So my first kickboxing match was in February.
Okay.
So so that was my very first one. So it's where are we at? It's April. So yeah.
So you're a couple months. Okay. So how exactly does that work? I'm assuming you have a prosthetic leg.
Yeah. So like I said, I'm a below knee amputee. As far as like the kickboxing is concerned, less is different than you would think. I just have to learn how to do these things a different route. It's kind of like we're both going to the same place. I have to take a detour. There's a different route for me to get there. But in the end, a quality kick's a quality kick. The other guy's throwing a punch, and all of that, none of that really changes. The environment's the same. I just have a slightly different set of equipment and different set of tools that I have to use to ply my trade. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. So does it? I'm assuming you can't hit with your. Which leg is it? Is your right or left?
Left.
So I'm assuming you can't throw kicks with your left leg.
So I fought once. There really are no rules for amputee kickboxing. I fought in Indiana. Indiana they do not sanction kickboxing.
Oh.
So in the end, it comes down to the rules that the promotion decides, and then the two combatants agreeing that, hey, we're going to fight. These are the conditions. Now, one thing I will say is it sounds a little lawless when I say it's unsanctioned. They did an incredible job at making sure they had a high quality set of rules. It was well enforced. It was well communicated. I've been in tons of rules meetings at this point because I've been coaching fighters for a couple of years now, and definitely one of the best rules meetings I'd ever been in. And so from a rule standpoint, they don't actually exist yet. I am hoping to be a piece of that. I'm hoping to see that grow.
Okay. So what I was going to say, I just lost my train of thought there. When they don't have any rules, are you in a league with other amputees? Are you fighting guys with 2 legs? Is it any different?
So I fought another amputee. They came to me and asked me to fight. They said, hey, we've got this amputee. He's done a few boxing matches. We'd love to do an amputee versus amputee fight. Are you interested? At that time, I had been trying to get a fight. And I had gone through 8 opponents and had 8 people back out of fighting me here locally in boxing. Then they said, hey, in Indiana, if you're interested in kickboxing, we can do that. And I was like, absolutely. I like kickboxing better. It's more like mentally, it clicks with me more, trips my trigger, and just makes more like the tactics of it all are more my style, I guess. So I definitely was not going to turn that down.
Kickboxing is cool. I'm not a huge fighting fan. My grandpa Jerry, he's a lot more into it than I am, and I've been with him a few times. But boxing and kickboxing is so much more fun to watch in my mind.
There's a lot more that can happen. Yeah, you've got 4 more points of contact with both legs, and then now knees come into play. So yeah, it's 2 different games. It's like trying to compare basketball and baseball. It's while there's a lot of similarities in what's going on and what the competition is and what the goals are, how they are played is dramatically different because of those different sets of conditions. And that's like one of the beauties of just having different fighting styles and different martial arts to compete in, is that you can go and choose to compete in the one that does it for you, for whatever, for one reason or another. there's your boxing enthusiasts who love that. And, boxing, is almost a lot more like fencing and how tactical and like the tactics that it uses. Cause you only have 2 points of attack. You know where they're coming from. Kickboxing, you've got 6 points of attack between 2 hands, 2 knees and feet. Well, for me, I just have the right knee and foot, but I'm okay with that. Again, I choose to be there because like kind of back to your question, is like, while they're not a set rule, if I was told, hey, go wild, kick with your prosthetic all you want, I wouldn't. It doesn't really work well. I don't get the same like physical cues in my hip. And then on top of that, if I make contact, well, it could actually mess up how it's aligned and how my prosthetic is fitting. And and there's no amount of like damage I could do with it that would be worth how that would impact my mobility. So even if it were allowed, which I don't, if we were going to write rules, I think that it should be written to, you cannot attack with your device. That's a disadvantage you're choosing to take by fighting as an amputee. Excuse me. It's one of those things where like it's one of those things that you can't understand that perspective unless you've been there. Like, unless you are an amputee, you don't understand why that's a bad idea. Any amputee I've talked to that's talked to me about it, they're like, oh yeah, I wouldn't either. Like, none of us have it. Like, we didn't need to say it. We knew that neither of us were going to use it.
Right. My stepdad, he's an amputee too. He doesn't have I think it's his left leg. Now I think about it, I'm not really sure. I can't remember which side it is. But he got bit by a spider. He got bit by a brown recluse and lost the bottom of his leg, and then they cut the same knee down. So I understand how.
Oh man,
how much damage you can do to those things very easily.
Yes. You
said you were in the military?
Yes. Yeah, I was in the Air Force. I joined the Air Force late 2010.
Okay.
I'm sorry, mid 2010.
Were you an amputee at the time, or was that because of the military?
No. Nope. I went the more classic route of I joined with 2, left with 1. So no, I was able-bodied when I joined. So I joined the Air Force to join the combat control pipeline. So not a whole lot of people are familiar with it, but there are a couple of special operations career fields, whereas the Air Force is primarily support roles. In terms of combat, there are a couple of combat jobs, and I was in one of them. It was called combat control. I was down in Biloxi, Mississippi, in training about a year and change into the pipeline, and I clipped a curb on a run. I fell down on the outside of the foot, and I vividly remember feeling my heel come all the way up and touching my ankle.
Jesus!
In my infinite wisdom, I got up and finished the run. Unfortunately, that was my last moment out of pain for 9 years.
Oh wow!
I developed a nerve condition from that fall called complex regional pain syndrome, and it's very hard to treat. On top of that, I was treatment resistant. I was in a constant state of pain for 9 years, and it just continued deterioration. Like, I never got like a break. Like, I never got to 0 on the pain chart for those 9 years. And it just kept getting worse and worse. There came a point where I got discharged. I got discharged as a result of this. And so now I am out of the military. I'm not getting a lot of help from the VA. They don't really know how to help me anyway. And so I'm just doing my best. I'm just doing my best. I'm a coach in a CrossFit gym. I am just working as hard as I can, learning everything I can. I'm losing function. There came a point where I had to start using a cane. And eventually the cane was no longer enough, and I had to use a forearm crutch. I'm not even 30 years old at this point. And wow. I was out of options. There was nothing left. And I could not fathom it getting any worse than it already had. Like, my life was really dwindling. The flame was going out, and I had this one punch left to throw. Like, not to be a kickboxing reference, but just as a metaphor, I had one punch left to throw, and that was amputation. And with the type of nerve condition that I had, it wasn't considered a guarantee that it would work. I could wake up with all the same pain, but I knew that I couldn't live knowing that there was one more chance I could take. And I was like, the time is now. The cost of doing nothing was too much. after a bit of a battle with the VA, I finally was able to see a surgeon who was qualified for that surgery. He saw it. He saw what was going on. He saw my track record and how hard I was going to work and how well I took care of myself despite what I was dealing with. We booked the surgery for 3 weeks later, and August 26th of 2020, I went into surgery about noon. I woke up at 9 p.m. out of pain for the first time in 9 years.
Wow.
And to say that was an emotional experience and quite the effing roller coaster would be an understatement. At that point, so how old are you guys? I know you guys are all in college. Does that put y'all what are right around 21, 22?
I'm 22. She's 21. He's
19.
19, and Casey's 24. So Casey didn't go to college.
Yeah, it happens. I quit college 3 times. I wanted to learn instead. So to put that into reference, 1/3 of my life had basically been lost due to just pure pain.
Wow.
So basically, imagine if your guys' life ended around 13.
Jesus.
And tomorrow you woke up and you had it back. That's what happened.
Wild.
That's what amputation did for me. Amputation was a solution. I went in there knowing it might not work, but I had to make a bet on myself. Plain and simple. I knew that if it worked, I knew what could happen.
That's insane. That it was just better like that. There was nothing. There was no pain at all.
I mean, there was a surgical pain.
Right.
I just had my leg cut off, but that was small potatoes. That was small potatoes compared to what I had been dealing with, plus the emotional weight, plus the Dilaudid. Dilaudid is one hell of a drug. It's basically Gucci heroin, and that shit gets the job done. So I was on Dilaudid for a couple of days after. I got myself off of that one pretty quick, but it was just. I finally had an opportunity that all my work could add up to something. I had done all that work. I had busted my ass. I had gone through so much pain, had refused to take the easy way out for 9 years. Like I said, 1/3 of my life as a young adult.
Wow.
And I find now all that work could mean something. You can't hurt me after that.
Yeah. That's insane. That's crazy. So if I got this right, you were running and you tripped over a curb, just like a regular run, nothing crazy.
Yeah. So to put this in perspective, the chances of me getting that condition was 0.00026%. That was the likelihood of me developing that condition from a trauma. So by talking to me, you guys are probably safe. I'm the one.
Well, I'm glad that I'm safe. So did you just basically step off a curb wrong?
No. So I was just running and just clipped. I was helping my guy next to me was having a hard time with the thing we were carrying, and I reached over to help him out, and I didn't see the curb, and so I just basically a nasty fall. Just I clipped the curb and I tripped.
That's crazy. And you wow. I mean that just part of life. You trip over a curb and that's
exactly. I fractured a bone. I had the sprain was really bad. But yeah, that was it doesn't sound like a lot. It was a nasty fall. I was in the type of career field where if you went down, you got told to get up unless they saw something really bad. And looking back at it, they went to stop the run. They didn't tell me to get up. I just did it because that's what I was trained to do. And I knew where I was at. I knew what my goal was, and I knew who I was there to be. And I didn't think about it. I just did. I acted the way I had trained myself to behave in that scenario. It's not that it's some special virtue or anything like that. That's just the arena that I was in at the time.
Right.
So that's what I had to do.
When you're in the military, they dig that into your head that you don't stop for anything.
Yeah, exactly. I was at a special operations job. Their whole thing is seeing how you deal with stress. They need to know that you can operate under stress because you've joined a job that the only time you operate is under stress. You go do the hardest things. And so for me, I was like, this is just another thing.
And you had a fractured leg and you still kept running?
Yeah, I didn't know it at the time, but yes.
The adrenaline's pumping. You don't realize it?
Yeah, there was a huge adrenaline dump when we got back, and that's when things got real bad.
I bet. Do you remember the first time you stood up after you got your leg cut off?
Yeah.
Do you remember?
So I'm in the hospital. Yeah. So it was pretty funny because like you do all these things, like you think you're going to try and do these things, so you spend time standing on one leg and not before your amputation, and it's not even close to the same. I'd been in bed for a few days, and so I stand up. I'm on a walker, and I take my hands off, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm good." I just like and just tip right, and like I just start to tip right over because I had no counterbalance. I was so disoriented. My body had no semblance of what the hell was going on. And it was just this like funny, slow, just like, we're just kind of like sort of almost falling over. Obviously caught myself just fine. Had the, nurse was right there. Bed was right there. But yeah, it was pretty funny.
What was the rehab like? My stepdad's told me about his, and it was pretty intense he had.
Yeah, I mean, I had to learn to do things that you don't ever remember learning how to do. I had to completely relearn how to walk. I was lucky. Like the things that I was fortunate at is that all that work that I did before, it counted for something finally. I was strong. I could deadlift 500 pounds the day I walked into surgery. I had back squatted 500 pounds less than a year prior.
And that's
like,
that
I was
pain.
Yes.
That's insane.
I didn't give myself a choice. I was like, the choice to me was, it wasn't, do you want to go do this? Or how do you feel? Because the answer to how I felt was always terrible, bad. It hurts. I don't feel good was always the case. So I couldn't filter anything in my life through that. I had to ask myself, what makes me the best? What makes me the best version of me? You are very much forced to examine who the hell you are in a scenario like this. And I knew that one of my like actual fears was this idea that if I died, the greatest like punishment that could ever happen, purgatory, hell, whatever you want to call it, would be that I met the best the version of me that I could have been, and it wasn't who I was. I refused to be the second best version of me. So it wasn't, do I want to go train today? It was, do I want to be the best that I can be? Do I want to be the best version of Sam? And it was like that whenever I chose what I ate, whether or not I was going to drink, whether or not what I was watching, what I was reading. It was all put through that one simple question. Does this make you the best version of you? And if the answer was yes, I did it. And if the answer was no, I did my best to not. And so I had to. I already was limited by choosing to not train, by choosing to give into the condition. I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing now. I knew that all I had to do was figure out how to get out of pain, and I would have all these tools to use. And now I get to do that.
That's an incredible mindset right there. To live your life like that in that much pain and still think, I can do better, I can do better. That's amazing to think that way. Because most people wouldn't have that mindset there.
You're right. But I started looking, I got told to look into these support groups. And I look into these support groups and it was just a bunch of people complaining. And I was like, what are you guys doing? And I was like, I can't go that route. No, anyone that gives into that, the second they give into that, they never got out of it. And so I was like, I can't give away a step on that. I can't go that direction. That's a person I can't stand being. The primary cause of death for people with this condition is suicide.
Really?
People don't die of old age or natural causes. They don't last that long. It's too miserable. So I had to anchor myself to this. And while, I got this little saying, this little like kind of jokey deal that I'll tell people is like, you don't need to lose a leg to be grateful and appreciate the fact that you can go take a walk around the block right now. But I'd be a fucking liar if I said it doesn't help. like, yeah, I had that perspective and I had that resistance that I had to push against. But like, that is a decision that you can make right now. It's a decision that everyone in that room can be like, you know what? I'm going to start practicing that when I make decisions. And you'd be amazed at how much easier it gets, how quickly it transforms your life, because there's also an element of just simply taking accountability. Like, I could sit there, I could blame everything on this condition, or I could acknowledge the truth was my response to my pain is mine. The pain didn't make the decision for me. I let it. I gave it the keys. I let it drive, and I demanded that out of myself, that I would have accountability over who I was, and I would be who I was going to choose who I was going to be, one decision at a time.
Wow. I don't even really know how to follow that up. That's such a great way to put that, and to be grateful for everything. And it's hard to get me speechless, but you got me there.
It's like you've got a choice, man. It's to me, like there's a Jim Carrey quote, and it's something about like optimism, somewhere along the lines of like, the only way optimism can have longevity is with gratitude. So being grateful, like, when's the last time you thought about like, man, I'm really grateful that I had a warm bed last night? Not just like, oh yeah, I know that, but like, when's the last time you actually said it to yourself? Like,
never.
Man, I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful I've got this college that provides me this room, that I had this opportunity to go to these classes and transform myself into the type of adult that I want to be, that you have this opportunity to get you guys are getting reps in. But like, the reality is, you're probably not going to be doing this podcast in 5 years, 10 years. There's only a couple of people that have gotten to do that. And so the chances are that you're not, but you have this great opportunity to get better at it. So when that big opportunity comes, you're not a novice. And, so like for me, like I took that, like, with optimism, requires gratitude. People kind of go, I think, the wrong direction on that one. And they want to go like very toxic positivity. Like, everything's great. Everything's great. No, it's fucking not. Like, no, it's not. But for everything that happens, for all the bad, like, I acknowledge the bad, but I know that if the bad part is to learn from it. So it's the opportunity. Like the reason why I can speak so well to this is because of all the shit that I went through, and I had to think about it. I had to work through it, and I had to do all these things. And if I hadn't, so I can sit there and I can shine a light on the truth of this fucking sucks, or I can shine the light on this truth of this is going to forge a skill for me, and that if I can figure out that will help me buy time to get out of pain, and if I can get out of pain, I get to use this shit to go forward. And that's what I'm doing now. That's why I was able to take a fight, do it well, win. I barely got touched.
Really?
Like, I'm gonna go climb a mountain in September. I'm running a 30K in Bryce Canyon National Park in a month. Like, I'm doing these things because of all of that work. So they're both true. Like, they're both true. I get to choose which one I shine a light on, though. I acknowledge both. But it's my choice. It's my accountability.
That's awesome. You got some awesome stuff coming up too, it sounds like.
All right. Well, let's get some questions going.
All right. So Zoom's a pain, but we're back. Ben had a question for you.
All right, so you know how some people, when they like lose a part of their body, like a hand, like a leg, they'll feel like they actually have that hand still sometimes?
Phantom pains.
Has that like?
Yes.
How
That's
often
the word
does
for it.
How often does that happen to you?
So it happened a lot more early on, and so what's happening there is you have nerve endings that your whole life have connected to something, in my case, my foot, my ankle, my toes. So like when I first lost my leg, it definitely felt like it was still there. There was a lot of stuff, I had to do a lot of stuff to kind of distract the brain and kind of train that. Now, I also had a procedure done during my amputation that helped prevent that. Or so within like 6 to 8 months, I would say I had very little. So it's infrequent for me. I'll get the occasional twinge, or like, but it's honestly, it's almost become more like funny shit. Like I'll hit my leg, or like something will fall on there, and it doesn't actually hurt, but my brain just goes, ow. There's no like real pain to it, but like I'm just like, ow. It's like the most underwhelming. I was like, that's like so fucking insincere, but it's just like I can't help it. Like my body was trained that hurt, and so it's called phantom pains or phantom sensations, and they're very real. And like that's the weird part is they feel like, for me it's like it's one of two ways. Sometimes they just feel very real, like it just feels like it is there, like no different than me doing this. It feels like the same. And then other times it's like one characteristic of that sensation, and it's like becomes like a caricature of it. It's like an exaggerate. It's like, what the fuck, and like it hurts, and and so like there's a little bit of that. I'm really fortunate in that I don't have them very severe. Like I said, I had a very, very talented surgeon for my case, and he did some work on the nerves that gave them a place to go. So now I've got a lot less of that to deal with 3.5 years down the road.
I did not know that.
It also helps to be active.
Yeah.
Yeah, it also helps to be active because now you're giving your brain something to connect with that it was looking for.
Yeah.
That was my question.
Have you always been into combat sports, or is this a recent thing, or is it?
So I would say there was probably always a little piece of me that was like kind of fuck yeah with it. I was, like a lot of people. So I'm 34. A lot of people my age, we watched, UFC 70, these like early ones. And you had that, it was so raw and so like authentic. Like there was no such thing as a Conor McGregor. There was no posturing. It was just people trying to throw down. And, so there was like an attraction there that was always cool. To be honest, I didn't really see myself as that person, but that was like a self-worth thing that I had to work through, to be honest. Like I really didn't have a lot of like self-worth early on in my life, and dealing with this kind of helped me overcome that. So there was always that interest, and I appreciated it as like a movement guy. Like I'm very into like movement, and whether or not it's lifting, it's skills, it's throwing, and all that sort of stuff. Like I've got, I'm into the Scottish Highland Games, and I've got 5 world records on the adaptive side with that stuff. And, so I'm really fascinated by that. 5 world records. Yeah. In the Highland Games.
Wow.
Which
you
is
just glossed over that like it was nothing. That's insane. Not to cut you off.
So as far as I'm concerned, if I die tomorrow and on my tombstone it says he's got 5 world records, I have fucked up. I did not get my message across very well. Like that's just the detail. Like I'm actively out there trying to teach other amputees to throw so they can beat them. Like I don't need them. It was a thing I did on a day. It's kind of like, me with like my like being a veteran. I'm a veteran, but that doesn't really tell you anything about me. It's a thing I chose to do. It's a thing I signed up. I got paid really poorly. I got treated really shitty. Like it's not like, it doesn't really define much about who I am. I'm on to the next, I'm always on to the next.
It's 5 world records isn't something that's like, yeah, I just did it. It's like, you have 5 world records.
Yes. But yeah, so how I got into like fighting and how that came about was I really just found the right gym, and I met some of the right people at another place, and they all went to the same gym. It's called the Church of Jamie. It's over there on if you're local to St. Louis, it's off of Cherokee Street, and
downtown. It
was just the right, downtown near like Arsenal, not too far from the brewery.
Okay,
and like Anheuser-Busch Brewery, and there's this thing that happens like when you have a visible disability, where people seem to think that removes you from being a human and that you're just a disability, and they treat you weird. And I have to, like, when I go into a room, I kind of have to earn the right to be treated like a normal human being. Like it takes time before most people are willing to treat me like just a person, not this guy with the missing leg. His name is Sam. It's Sam who happens to have an amputation. It takes a while for people to get to that shift. And it sucks but it's also, you don't know what you don't know. Like, by the end of this conversation, you guys will be much more comfortable around talking to somebody with an amputation or a disability than you were before. It's just the reality, or like it helps that your stepdad, you've been around it a little bit, like exposure. These guys didn't treat me any different. And that was unique. I got treated just like I just got treated. I was Sam. Oh, Sam has a prosthetic. Oh shit. Didn't even realize that. Like it was that sort of stuff. And, it's one of the things that also I told Jamie, the head coach, I told him, I was like, I'm into what you guys are doing. I'd love to come train, but just know the second you tell me that something was good and it wasn't good, like that's not a good kick, a good punch doesn't change because I'm an amputee. The second you tell me it was good and it wasn't, I'm out. I won't be treated like that. You don't need to, if I did a poor job at that, you need to fucking tell me. And it's just worked, man. It started off with, so I'm a strength and conditioning coach. I do a lot of like the breath work, some of the woo woo shit. I'm into it. And, so it started off with me doing some helping out with a little strength and conditioning over there, doing some training. And then on fight night, I do breath work with the fighters, getting them prepared for the fight, getting them mentally checked in. And then when they're done with the fight, I help bring them back down. And so like, that's how I got started. And I was just, I kept training. I was enjoying it. I fit into the culture over there. And again, it just keeps working, and it kept working, and I'm working with more of these guys. I was like, you know what? I got to have this experience. Like, this is not close enough for me. I need to make the walk. I need to go through the whole training camp. I need to do all these things because I want to help these guys more. And that's really through that evolution over the course of about a year and a half from me starting there to me fighting. That's how I got there. It was just the right time.
Okay. This is pretty recent. You had your first fight, right?
Yeah, it's April, and I fought in February.
Okay. How did that first fight go? You said you won.
I did win. Second round, went down as a second round TKO. He didn't get off the stool. He was unable to continue after the second round.
Okay.
So
you got him pretty good then.
I did get him pretty good. Yeah. It was a good experience. I showed up well, and I was who I thought I was, and that was really, really awesome. I learned a lot, and now I just want to do it better.
Okay. Do you know how many people were in the crowd that night? How big of a crowd it was?
I don't know. It was probably a few hundred. Okay. It wasn't like a massive arena by any means, but the place was jam packed. Like every seat was full, all the tables were full, and there were people standing out in the lobby for our fight.
Okay. The crowd go nuts in that fight at all? Was it a hot crowd?
It was, when I watched the videos back, yes. I didn't notice it during the fight. Like, man, once that cage door closed, I could hear my coach. I knew where the ref was, and I knew where the guy that I was fighting, and literally nothing else existed.
Oh, wow. So you really locked in.
Yeah. Yeah, I was calm. Like, I was very calm. We've joked about it a lot since that my coach was more amped up. My coach was having a harder time calming himself down than I was, and I'm the one that was in there. I was the one in there fighting for the first time. That's just kind of like, that's where I have found the most success in my life, is my ability to stay level. So that's what I trained. I trained myself to stay level for that, and the experience took care of itself.
Some of those fight coaches get ridiculously fired up.
That's Jamie. That's mine. There's this, one of the things that he's decently well known in the area for. So it's a really common practice to get like smacked before you walk out there. The idea is, so the first time you get hit is not there, so you're already kind of primed for it. Jamie's known for his willingness to hit a little harder. Oh. And then Jamie was already amped up, and the video is hilarious because I've got some hair, and you just see him just rip, and my hair just goes fly in one direction. He comes through with the other hand. My hair goes fly in the other direction. And it's just like locked in. Like at that point, like there was nothing that was going to touch me at that point. There was nothing that was going to bother me. Like plain and simple,
That'll get you fired up too, getting smacked across the face like that.
Yeah, like, and the worst part is like he didn't even say he was about to do it. He just all of a sudden his hands are crossed my face. I'm just got ripped.
I've seen a coach do it once, and they hit hard. It's
gotcha. I'll send you the fight video.
Okay.
I'll send you the fight video, and you guys can check it out. I've got it on my YouTube channel.
all right. We'll definitely check that out. Do you guys have any other questions about the kickboxing before we move on to food?
I'm
I got none.
pretty fascinated with what I'm hearing. I'm not gonna lie.
You got all of us pretty good.
I'm incredibly
all right, we'll go. Let's play Ask an Amputee. You can ask an amputee question. I do not judge you for being ignorant, as it's something you've never experienced. So if you got something that's like just a curiosity, if it's off the wall, I'll tell you. But I'm going to give you.
That should be at him, not me.
I mean,
you know my stepdad.
I mean, do what?
You know Ferris, so
yeah. I mean, I know Ferris. I've seen.
You got anything, Emily?
I actually don't.
I had a great time just like listening to what he had to say.
Yeah, because I didn't think this was going to go in the direction that it did. You know what I mean? With the message and everything behind it, that was.
It's a great story.
I can get behind half the things he says.
I do want to ask.
I am.
What? Sorry.
I say, yeah. I'm a thinker, man. Like that's how I find my peace. I think shit out, and it's helped me understand who exactly I am.
It is really cool to hear that message, though. It makes me, I don't know about you guys, but it's made me rethink a lot of things. Because when you mentioned being grateful for things, I don't think I've ever thought, how lucky am I have a bed to sleep in.
That's because you're ignorant.
Well, so you realize less than 100 years ago, alcohol was safer to drink than the tap water?
Don't tell Casey that.
Yes.
No. I'm not even kidding. Like, we are less than 100 years removed from the fact that water was so unreliable that people would drink alcohol instead because it was safer.
Really?
Because they didn't have to worry about getting sick. Like, that's like how crazy this time we live in. Like, how fortunate we are to be alive. Like, yeah, obviously we've got some shit to figure out, socially and all that stuff.
Right.
But it's because that's a luxury we now have. Because we don't have to worry about, is our drinking water going to kill us?
That's
like,
crazy
it's
to think about.
Point.
Right? Like,
It's
easy. It's easy once you put a light on it. That's what I'm talking about. Like, you choose what you shine your light on. And you find it, and then you start finding like these people that you don't like or that you don't want to be around or that get you riled up. Man, they haven't said thank you for anything in a while. And you just move on. Because then you realize I don't have to shine a light on them.
That's a great way to put it, because there's a good amount of people out there that I don't like. And I like most people, but there's a good amount of people that I don't like. But I need to stop worrying about them.
I mean, you're at this age that, like, give you a hint. In about 10 years, you're going to realize how dumb you are right now.
Right.
I love it, because I was too. All 21-year-olds are dumb. You haven't been alive long enough to understand that.
Right.
I know you're surrounded by.
I know I'm a fool.
Go learn shit, Learn shit by doing.
That's what you say all the time. You learn more driving trucks than you did in 15 years of school.
Yeah, I mean, I can see just the biggest change in myself from the time I was 21 to now. Just getting in the truck and like 21 and prior.
You're a lot more fun when you were 21.
When I was 21?
Yeah, you wanted to do stuff. Now you just want to sit in your bed.
Yeah, it happens sometimes.
Wait, he's driving a truck.
Of course, the 21-year-olds hang out with 21-year-olds.
Yeah, see? But like anything like before that, it was kind of all the same. And I got in the truck, I saw the country, I saw things no one usually sees or should ever have to see. And it completely changes you. And I mean, just looking back even on 3 years ago, now when I turned 31, look back 10 years ago, it's going to be like, holy crap.
Yeah, like perspective is magic, man.
Yeah.
Like, you start to realize, like, one, this could be a lot worse. People are dealing with a lot worse than I am right now.
Mm-hmm.
That person would kill to be dealing with this problem that has me being shitty.
Yeah.
Like, they would love to deal with that problem. Or just by traveling around, you start to see, like, man, there's a lot of people getting the exact same shit done very differently.
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe my way, and like, so as you start to learn these things, again, the world gets easier to digest just simply because it's proven. Like, oh man, it's proven that your way is not the only way. They're plenty successful there, and they do it completely different. We get the same job done.
Yeah, absolutely. When you stay in one place, you kind of grow up to an extent, the bubble. And when you go out, you see,
my
problems
the term, the echo chamber.
Do it. So what?
Yeah, that's where the phrase the echo chamber. You got to stay out of the echo chamber.
Yeah. And as you were saying earlier, you start to see like, or for me when I'm driving a truck, I'm all pissed off. It's like you drive through a really shitty part of town. It's like, man, I mean, the problems I'm having, the people here would love to have, as you just said, kind of thing.
Right.
I still got a truck, I got a bed in it, I can make it money, kind of stuff. The people around here, they don't even have a reliable bed tonight, kind of deal. So you start to get a different perspective on the things.
It's easier to smile that way.
Yes.
When you're mad about the yard messing up your trailer,
right.
that's nothing in the grand scheme. You have to sit here for 45 minutes and can't go to Taco Bell.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Yes. When you look at the next day and go.
That was a conversation
diarrhea.
I had with him one time. He was mad that he couldn't go to Church's Chicken.
What was that?
I don't know.
Making sure.
Oh, there you go. There's your segue to food. Well done.
So are you from St. Louis?
Well, yes.
That wasn't even intentional either. That was
Good transition.
it worked out, but that wasn't intentional.
Well done, young Padawan.
This is my wheelhouse. Here is the food. I love talking food.
Fuck yeah. I grew up Jefferson County.
Okay. What Afton
Just
area?
south of Arnold.
Okay.
Barnhart.
Okay. Yeah, that's not far from me.
I delivered a bunch of pizza in Arnold
Okay.
before I joined the military.
About 20 minutes. I'm in Eureka, so.
Oh, okay. I was out in Eureka on Sunday.
Oh, really?
I did a run. Yeah, I ran a 14-mile trail. Like Greensfelder
Greensfelder
Park, the Beulah Trail.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's right behind Six Flags. Like I'm sitting there just dying on this trail that was way harder than I thought it was going to be, and I was not prepared for. And I hear roller coasters. I'm their perspective.
So,
all right, let's do the food thing.
With food, we like to have our guests blind rank the 5 St. Louis foods. And I need to tweak this list a little bit, but I haven't had a chance to tweak it to the full extent. So it's not a perfect list of St. Louis foods. But you want to write this down?
Yeah.
So Emily's going to keep track of where you put these things. We're going to blind rank them. You can't change them once I tell you what the next ones are. The first one is.
So I'm going to get.
What's that?
So ranking 1 through what?
5.
1 through 5. So you're going to give me 5 foods. Okay. All right. I saw this gag the other day.
Probably where I got it from.
Okay.
So the first one is pork steak.
2.
2? All right.
2.
Casey, where'd you have pork steak on your list? Do you remember?
I do not remember. 3 or 4.
You can't ever go wrong with a good pork steak.
Have you ever been to Beast Barbecue?
Been where?
Beastcraft Barbecue?
I have not. Where's that at?
Okay. So the original one is in Belleville, Illinois.
Okay.
Not that far from you. From Eureka, it's a drive.
Everything's
Dave
a drive.
Sandusky's been
skipping a jump.
Yeah, that's true. Dave Sandusky's been all over the Food Network. It used to be 2 minutes from my house. This pork steak is so good you can eat it with a fork. You don't need a knife.
Ooh, that's when it falls right off the bone. That's good stuff.
Yeah, like I'm notably hungrier thinking about it.
I have too.
All right.
Second one is
so what's next?
Gooey butter cake. Cake, not cookies.
I'm gonna go
cake.
4. I'm gonna go 4. I'm just not a sweets guy. I'm counting. There's 2 things on this list I'm counting on that I know are 1 and 5 for me.
I think I know what one of them is.
Yes.
And the next one we're gonna go with is emo style pizza. Not necessarily emos, but that Provel 5. What?
Can I make it 6 out of 5? That is terrible.
I am shocked and awe right now.
With cheese
where he's going to put that.
plastic.
When he said, I'm thinking of 2, it's going to be 1 and 5. That was my guess of where that was going.
I love emo's pizza.
Wait, now I'm speechless again.
Or,
I feel like
it's a hit or miss.
the
You
most
either love
mind-blowing
it or
thing
you
I've
hate
said
it.
the whole night.
yeah,
No,
you
I
don't
just I like really hearty food. So like cracker crust doesn't do it for me. Provel is like basically half plastic. And like
Still beats it to be
I
approved
don't
by
know
the
why
FDA.
someone's like, hey, you know that mozzarella stuff that's really good? Well, it's the same color, but a lot worse. Let's
love
put it
it.
on the pizza.
I love it personally.
I've never been able to acquire the taste.
And you're from St. Louis?
Yes. So I've had ample opportunity to acquire said taste, and it just does not do it for me.
Have you ever had Joe Bacardi's pizza?
Mm-mm.
That's really good. Casey, you've had that, right? Joe McCarty's.
Yeah.
That's the St. Louis style, but it's cheaper
I
and
like
it's good.
Cecil Whitaker's better.
Cecil Whitaker's is really
It's
good
top
too.
notch right there.
You don't like Cecil Whitaker?
I would rather have
Yeah.
Cecil Whitaker's over Emos.
I'll give you that. I'll back you on that. Emos is just the one everybody knows out of St. Louis. That's why I said it that way.
Yeah. To me, like Emos is the quintessential St. Louis pizza,
Yeah.
I'm still appalled.
and it's terrible.
Cecil Whitaker's is like twice as good and half the price.
Mm-hmm. They used to have good deals. Certain days of the week, if you buy one large pizza, they bring out another one.
No,
Only
yeah.
Casey would know.
Now listen,
Off the
now
top of
listen.
his
When I
head.
was a little younger
gotta
than you
point out we're
guys,
not sponsored.
Buffalo Wild Wings used to do 40-cent wings.
What?
Yeah. They used to be like there was like a ridiculous deal they used to run on wings on like Tuesdays and Thursdays.
I thought
Yeah,
that-
Thursdays they still have buy one get ones to my knowledge.
Is it really?
That's one
I
of
might
my
have to go
buddies.
back.
No, we're talking less than 50 cents a wing.
Dang. I thought the dollar wings at JP's on Tuesday was a good deal.
No.
You've been to JP's an awful lot over there.
Times they be a changing.
What was that?
Said times be a changing.
Oh yeah, well when I got an $18 Subway sandwich the other day,
what?
just the sandwich, no extra meat, no extra bullshit, just regular sandwich.
What did you get?
That Subway ripped
Like
you
a
off, I
sugar.
guarantee it.
Oh well, problem is it's on the turnpike in Chirac, so that's just what the price is. So
Thank you, Illinois.
right.
About how you spend $18 on less than 3 sandwiches.
Yeah, it was
Oh, wait,
ridiculous.
hold on.
Everywhere else
I
I've
also
gone to
grew
get
up-
that
I
sandwich, it's
also-
like
when I was in
Was it
high
in,
school,
like,
it was the
Chirac,
heyday
or
of the
was it new?
$5 footlong.
Yeah, I remember the commercial.
it's on a toll road.
Yeah, it was brand new. Jared Fogle, nobody knew he was diddling kids. Like, how is it simpler?
Have you watched that documentary on him on HBO?
Disgusting. Yes.
I couldn't make it past. I about threw up. I got 5 minutes in. I couldn't take it. It was so bad.
So my wife's from Brazil. So sometimes we'll watch some of these things and I'll like, hey, these are things that happened when I was a child. And like it kind of like connects a dot on some like stuff, like from my childhood because she didn't experience any of it because she wasn't in America until like less than 10 years ago. So we'll watch some of those things. I'm like, just for the record, this one's a sad one, but this is a really weird piece of my childhood. We're going to watch this.
It's like, have you seen the Quiet on the Set documentary, the Nickelodeon?
Yes, but I've been saying that stuff for like 15 years. Like, none of these people are turning out okay. We need, like, something bad is happening.
The only one I know of that turned out okay from those shows was Kenan Thompson.
Man,
And he was gone
Yeah.
before all that stuff hit the fan.
correct. Yeah, it's weird. There's a lot of red flags that people were just like, yeah, but we made a few dollars. Okay, let's be less sad. What's the next food?
All right. We took a turn there. I'm really good at getting sidetracked.
That's your
Yeah.
ADD kicking
Yeah,
in.
I get severe ADHD.
Hey, man, it happens when you're having fun.
We are. All right, what did I say so far?
You done
Pork
pizza?
steak, gooey butter cake, pizza. I know what you know is number one, so I'm going to save that one for last. Now,
Okay.
there is a difference. Gooey butter cookies.
Oh man, you know what? I did well. I'd rather have a gooey butter cookie than a gooey butter cake. So yeah, that's an appropriate. I'm gonna be honest. I did a good job on this one as far as reflecting my actual views on this
You
food.
did do pretty good.
Yeah.
And what do you think number one is?
If it's not toasted ravioli, delete this recording.
Toasted ravioli.
Well, let me ask
It's
you
gotta
something.
be-
Would you add anything to that list? Because that's what we've come up with for like 5 St. Louis staples. But I'm sure there's got to be more.
I've
of some
heard.
sort.
I was told to throw in Ted Drew's
Okay.
or Gus's pretzels.
You know what?
That's
You know,
a good thing.
I think you go Ted Drew's. I think Ted Drew's is more iconic to St. Louis than Gus's pretzels. Gus's pretzels are like, if you're in St. Louis, you know about Gus's pretzels, but if you're like a tourist to St. Louis, you're probably not going to find them. You're probably going to find Ted Drew's. So I would put Ted Drew. I would say Ted Drew's would be an appropriate one.
What should we get rid of?
I would just gooey butter just as its own.
Okay.
Although I do agree, I would rather have a cookie than the cake. But again, I'm not a sweets guy, so like a smaller dose is better. But yeah, like it's just you can't beat toasted ground. Like if I'm gonna like share something with somebody, man, like it's like new to the air, like, oh, I want to try a St. Louis style food. That's my go-to. Like I know that they're going to love toasted ravioli, or we're probably not really going to hang out for that much.
Whether you like it or not, it's a massive personality trait. So it tells a lot about a person.
No,
I can't think of a time that I've given somebody like that taste, and they haven't been like, oh yeah. No lies have been told. When I was I went to the Arnold Sports Festival in Ohio, and a bunch of us like got a house together from all around the country, and they had this idea like, hey, everybody bring like a local 6-pack, like a local brewery 6-pack. And I don't really drink, so I still brought that. But I was like, I'm going to bring some toasted ravioli because no one had any clue what it was. Everyone forgot about the beer.
Now, what was the local 6-pack you brought? Now, I know Casey.
I want to say it was a Four Hands like 6-pack sampler at from Sam's. Yeah, I think it was Four Hands.
I work right next to the Four Hands Brewery.
Okay.
I work in that same building by the factory.
Okay. Like I said, I'm not much of a drinker, so like the craft beer thing, I just missed it. Like I completely missed it. So like because I'm not a drinker.
I don't like beer. I drink, but I don't like beer.
Gotcha.
And Casey bullies me for it all the time, but
yeah, when I was in college, it was Natural Light.
Yeah.
Or your parents gave you money and you got Bud Light.
It's pretty accurate, though. So I think the reason I don't like beer is because I know when people drink in high school, they drink whatever's there. I didn't drink in high school. I didn't drink until I had my own money, so I could drink what I like and not have to worry about drinking the crap. But, Ben, you had something?
You're not missing anything.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. But is there any other St. Louis foods you would add to that list?
I don't know. I'm trying to think. I don't know. What else have you guys come up with? Rattle some off.
Ribs.
Because, ribs I was thinking barbecue, but it's kind of hard to make barbecue its own category. It's too broad. And, yes, St. Louis barbecue absolutely fucks.
What about Paschetti's?
Is that really St. Louis style, or is that just like weird Italian?
I mean, it's a St. Louis exclusive.
Is it really?
I think.
Damn.
Really? I didn't know that.
I think it is.
Place.
I just assumed that like every place in the country has their own version of it, even if it's not called Paschetti's.
I mean, I'm assuming you've been there before, right?
Yeah, it's the epitome of good enough.
What? That's the best sandwich I've ever had.
No, it is not.
Their chicken parm
sandwich. It is not the best thing. No. You might enjoy it and have very good memories as a kid of enjoying this, but it is not the best sandwich you've ever had. If you want to stand on this one, I'll meet you at Gramophone over on the Grove. It's one of these places that's got like 40 different sandwiches.
I've never
and
been
almost
there.
all of them are better. Yeah, it's fantastic. It's a really cool spot in the Grove called the Gramophone.
Yeah. Any mom and pop shop's going to be better than anything that's gone to a chain.
Man, that chicken parm sandwich at Paschetti's is so good. I didn't have it until I was 17. So
you
the
probably
whole
also think Taco Bell's authentic.
You also can't say it without sounding like you're trying to sound like a 10-year-old. That's the other thing that gets me.
What does that mean?
Like when you say Paschetti's, like this is like, you fucking with me? Like, sort of thing. Like it's like when my wife's like trying to pronounce something. Like my wife speaks English well, but every once in a while, like I can slip one in there. I'll say cinnamon goofy, like cinnamon, or calipitter, or something like that. I'll slide those in. Paschetti's seems like one that I could just like slide in.
Their bread there is phenomenal.
Again, yeah, it's good, but it's not like I don't think it deserves a place on the pedestal.
I have it on my Mount Rushmore.
Right next to Taco Bell.
You know what? I will say 20-year-old Sam probably likes it.
McDonald's.
20-year-old Sam probably likes it a lot better. You know, that Irish place.
What?
She said McDonald's. I was like, oh yeah, that Irish spot.
Yeah.
If we're talking, Clancy. Have you ever been to Clancy's?
That's pretty good.
I want to say yes, but it's been a very long time.
There's one by my house and there's another one.
There's one off Old State in Baldwin, and there's one off Kerr's Mill in Baldwin.
Okay.
They have the best pulled pork sandwich I've ever had.
pulled pork sandwich. That I think that's a pretty St. Louis thing. Like the amount of people I met, like when I was in the military, that were not familiar with the pulled pork sandwich.
Really?
Was staggering. I was like, "What the hell is going on here?"
Pulled pork. Gas stations sell pulled pork.
But no one thinks
Not
it's
everywhere.
a bun.
Huh?
But no one else puts it in between two buns.
Yeah, so I wonder if a pulled pork sandwich could make it onto. I don't know. You'd have to do. I don't think it's like a St. Louis thing, but I do think it's regional.
Some
Okay.
of the best brisket I've ever had comes out of the side of a gas station in Hannibal, Missouri.
That's crazy.
Really?
The
Phenomenal.
fact it's a gas station is
Yeah,
like,
well, it's a
appalling.
gas station. They're attached, and there's truck parking behind it.
Yeah,
Okay, that makes more
they've
sense.
got an actual smoker. Yeah, it's not like gas station food, is it? It's like they got a
No,
smoker. out back.
Actually, you can't even though they're attached, you can't walk from one to the other. There's like the wall. In between, but
Yeah.
when I was in trucking school, one of the guys working where I was starting would always bring our class brisket, and sure as shit's only from an hour up the road. And I finally went. I'm like, this is fucking phenomenal. Even in class, cold 3 days later, it's the best damn brisket.
Yeah, I've never heard of when I was at truck driver camp story. That's exactly what I would write.
Oh, I've got quite a few there.
He drove an hour each way to get those briskets, the most truck driver shit I've ever heard in my life.
I mean, does he not look like a truck driver? He's wearing a Midwest trucker hat.
Does it not? I mean, I think he's leaned into the character a little bit. He wears the costume. He's got,
That's been him since the day I met him. I've known him almost 10 years. and
Ever
he's the
since I
same.
Way
graduated
of the
high
road,
school,
boys.
I'm wearing a hat every single day. Like I feel negative walking to public without one.
That's how I feel. Like my hair's been growing, and so it's like it looks stupid if I don't wear a hat, and now it feels weird. Now I'm like starting to get like some like real length to it, and
Yes.
but
They
but now I feel like I need it. Nope, got to go on.
They start curling around your hat eventually because that's what mine does.
Oh
It starts
yeah,
to cut out.
no, there's a
Just
clear
doing it right
there's
there.
a clear
Yeah,
hat
it's
shape.
starting.
There's a clear hat shape to my flow right now.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
The only time I wear a hat is if I forget to take a shower.
Lame.
I'm not
Jack looks like a drug dealer when he wears a
I
hat.
do.
Like he wore like gray sweatpants, a black hoodie, and a black hat like pulled over his face at JP's the other day, and we're like, "Damn, Jack, you selling drugs now or what?"
Do you guys have any other final questions for Sam? Anything about kickboxing, about being in the military, anything?
I got nothing.
I learned a lot today.
We did. We
I mean,
learned
yeah.
a ton from you.
I learned
today.
about the
Totally different
amazing man
direction.
that is Sam Schaefer.
Oh,
Do you have anything you want to plug? We don't have a ton of reach, but anything you want to plug?
cool. So, so I do the social media thing. I decided a little while ago I don't want to have to clock in if I don't have to, so that's a way for me to work for myself. So you can find me on Instagram at Sam Schaefer 1. I'm just going to spell it because there's 97 ways to spell Schaefer and they all make sense. It's the weirdest thing about having your name spelled wrong. Like nobody's going to pronounce it wrong, but no one's going to spell it right. SAMSCHAEFER, the number 1. That's on Instagram, and I'm at Sam Schaefer. Ironically, the same spelling on YouTube. Right now on YouTube, I'm kind of getting into my training and discussing everything that I'm doing, getting prepared for this 30K, as well as like kind of talking about so I work for a couple of nonprofits that I'm raising money for with Less Leg More Heart being the primary one that I work with. I'll be climbing a mountain in September for an organization called Range of Motion Project. They provide prosthetics for unserved areas, like people who have no access to prosthetics. They're building prosthetics for them.
That's
it's an
awesome.
incredible cause, an incredible mission. You will be entertained. I am on a straight up adventure tour right now. Within a year, we're probably going to be talking about the fact that I fought another guy missing a leg because all the other stuff going on. So if you don't mind checking those out, that would be huge, hugely helpful for me. And I appreciate getting to come on with you guys. I think it's cool that you guys are getting opportunities like this to kind of work on your stuff and get the reps in and if you're willing, if you guys are willing to do the extra work, which you guys are, I'm sure
I'm all in on it. So
It's pretty cool that you guys are making that choice. Yeah, exactly. And that's, we live in a society that they like people who are afraid to go for it will shit on anyone who doesn't share their fear. get after it, guys. Like, seriously, get after it. Lean in. Keep you upping it up. Like, figure it out. Find that voice, and shit'll hit.
We're hoping so. I think you're our 6th episode today, and we're having a great time doing it. We got a lot of stuff planned for the future. We're still trying to figure out how the summertime stuff's going to work without being on campus every day. But we're going to make it work.
That's where the work. Yeah, that's where the work happens, man. Like you have to make those choices. Like you don't. Your podcast doesn't get to be a success. You got to make choices to make it a success.
Exactly right.
We just got the less than a minute countdown, so let's go.
Okay,
bring us in for landing, Jack.
We'll put all that stuff in the description for you, all your social medias and all that stuff. We had a great time with you today. We really appreciate you taking the time. Good luck. You said you had another fight coming up. Is that what I heard?
I'm hoping to fight at the end of the year.
Okay.
The race is next.
Well, we wish you luck climbing the mountain and all your training, and we're glad to hear you're doing good. And it was an honor to talk to you today.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you guys so much.
I already said my tidbit about calling you an amazing person.
And I will not compliment you again. No, I really appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on. And it's a good time. And let's do part 2 sometime.
Absolutely. We can't wait to talk to you again.
All right.
Have a good one.
Bye.
All right, we're back. We got AJ Biggs here now. AJ, welcome back, buddy. How you doing?
Good, man. Glad to be on the show again.
Good to have you back. We're going to talk a little pro wrestling for about 15 minutes or so, and then that'll be it. So I had a pretty exciting weekend. I got to talk to Tony Khan.
Lovely.
Yeah, how was that?
That was the greatest show I've ever seen. I've watched live. It was the best I've ever seen in person. It was. I don't think there's been a better, other than maybe Mania 17. I don't think there's a better pay-per-view ever.
Do you feel like you are a little biased in this?
No, I think it was that good.
Really?
The matches on this card, AJ. Let me pull it up real quick. The worst match on the card was Jericho, and Jericho's a good wrestler.
Yeah.
We had, it's going to be a good show when Shibata and Orange Cassidy are starting the pre-show.
True.
And then Jay White.
I like me some OC.
Jay White is also on the pre-show with the Acclaimed. Like, that's on the pre-show.
It's pretty good. How many matches were there with the pre-show?
12.
Oh, wow. What time did you get there?
I got there about 4:45.
Oh, okay. Not bad.
And I left about 1:15. I called Jalen, not realizing what time it was. And he thought something was wrong. And I was like, I just want to tell you about it because he got approved for a pass and didn't know it.
Oh.
And I told him to get his ass down there, and he didn't. But the show started out with Okada and Pac, 2 of the greatest wrestlers in the world.
Okay.
And they tore the house down. That was a great match. Some people even were calling that the match of the night. No chance in hell I'd call that match of the night. But that was fun. Okada won. He retained. Pac almost had him. We thought maybe Pac was going to win, but there's no chance. House of Black beat Edge and Friends, which was fun. We got to see some redneck kung fu with Mark Briscoe.
So the Edge did not win.
Edge did win.
Oh, he did.
No, he lost. No, he got pinned. He ate a black mass.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Malachi.
Oh, wow.
Or what's his name? Malachi. Yeah, Malachi hit him with the black mass and pinned him off a spear. He hit the big guy with the spear, I think, and then Malachi knocked his ass out. The only match I didn't really care about was Willow and Julia because Willow doesn't do it for me. Julia's awesome. You know Julia Hart?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like her a lot. Do you know her?
I think you showed me a photo.
Yeah, I definitely did.
Okay. I think I know who you're talking about.
AJ, you saw my text, right? When I saw Renee in person?
Yes, I did see that text.
Renee Young, Paquette, whatever you want to call her, is legitimately the most attractive person I've ever seen in my life. Mox,
Casey just looked over when he heard attractive.
Mox is a lucky man. Roddy and Kyle beat the daylights out of each other.
Yeah, that's a good meat slapping match.
Kyle hits hard and then Roddy hits harder. And they're best friends. They lived together for a while, so of course they're gonna beat the daylights out of each other.
Yeah.
I didn't see any of the Jericho match. I went to get Dippin' Dots and then got distracted and never got Dippin' Dots.
I would have watched Jericho just because it's Chris Jericho.
Yeah, but this match it was dumb. It didn't need to be on the card. It's Jericho trying to get a young guy over, and it's not going to work. I love Jericho, but like this match, I mean, Jericho went through a table. There were some cool shots of it, but Timeless Tony Storm and Thunder Rosa was exactly what you'd expect. It was a classic women's match. It was fun. There wasn't as much comedy stuff in that one as usual, but it was a good time. Are you a fan of this Timeless Tony, AJ?
I am a fan of Timeless Tony.
She's great. I knew she was great, but she was missing something, and she found that something.
Yeah, I like her. I like her whole persona right now. And
60s
something
movie
about
star.
finding a unique personality in wrestling is hard to do now.
Because everything's been done.
Yeah, but I don't think this has been done like this.
No, not even a little bit. And it's with the stuff she's doing, and having Luther as a bodyguard is hilarious.
Yeah,
He was like a national champion weightlifter at one point. But he's just a goofy guy, and they had him with Serp for a while, Serpentico.
Mm-hmm.
You want to watch a funny match, anybody that's listening. I don't remember what episode of Dark it was, but it was Brandon Cutler against Serpentico. You know Brandon Cutler?
Yeah, but I don't know what this is.
It was a random match. It was the main event of Dark. Do you remember the Bucks got suspended for the fight with Punk?
Yeah.
And they all got suspended. Well, Brandon Cutler was the first one that came back. The Elite music hit. The place went nuts. And it was like a dark match before the show on Dark. And Big Show and Daddy Magic were calling the match. With I don't remember the guy's name. The other guy that does Dark. But it was one of the funniest matches I've ever seen. It was counter after counter after counter for 12 minutes.
I like those types of matches. I also like when a match has like good grappling back and forth.
Yes.
for a while.
If you haven't seen it yet, you need to watch Ospreay and Danielson.
Okay, I will.
Because that was what was next. This was 32 minutes of non-stop ass whooping.
That's a long time.
Yeah. Have you seen the Okada Omega matches from New Japan?
Yeah.
It was better than that.
Okay.
Because it wasn't as long. It didn't have the lull moments that Omega Okada had. I've only seen the one that Meltzer gave 7 stars.
I feel like if you watch, I only seen one. If you watch one of those matches, it's like that. That's all you're gonna do. It's just that's a whole event in and of itself.
Right. This Ospreay match felt like 10 minutes, but it felt like 3 hours at the same time.
Okay.
In a good perk way. When they got in the ring, the building was shaking.
So the crowd was pumped.
The crowd, I did some research on what people thought of the crowd on like Reddit and Twitter and stuff. They were like, this is the best crowd. This is a top 10 crowd in wrestling history.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know some people that were at Mania. I was sitting by some people that were at
What
Mania.
was the venue?
Chaffix.
Oh, wow.
And they had 7,500 people there, I think. And it was packed. And people were saying that it was louder in there than it was at Mania. And there was 80,000 people at Mania.
Jeez.
But this match, before it even started, people were chanting, "This is awesome, fight forever, we're not worthy," all that stuff. It was amazing. And then at the end, I don't know if you saw this or not, that stupid Tiger Driver Ospreay does. You know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
No.
He drops him square on his head. Always.
Yeah, it looks bad.
It's brutal. And when it's done right, it's safe. But you got to take it perfectly.
Very dangerous.
It's extremely dangerous. Brian should not have taken that move. And this is the safest looking Tiger Driver I've ever seen. But where we were sitting, it looked like his shoulder got dislocated. It didn't. And then he's selling a seizure or something. Like he had a seizure, because his head's so screwed up. But yeah, so they call the doc in the ring, and then Ospreay still hits that elbow on him. And then he realizes what he did. Ospreay sold it like he just killed his hero. But it ended up being, we found out it was a work. But it's the best work I've ever seen.
I was about to say, the way everything worked out, like that had to be a work.
Well, I thought it might have been, and then he came in the press conference, and we're going to talk about the press conference. But he walks in the room, and he's almost crying. And I look over, and I see Sky Blue and Kyle Fletcher sitting right next to me.
Wow.
And she's got her feet on him the whole time. She's very small up close. Sky Blue is tiny. You know her, right? You know her?
No.
Sky Blue? Wait till she has a match on air and on TV, and her ass will break the internet again.
What?
Yeah, her shorts.
What the hell?
What?
I was not ready for that.
It's true. Her shorts right up, and it breaks the Twitter.
What's her name?
Sky Blue. SKYE.
I'm gonna look that up later.
I don't.
David Christmas.
But I'm with a bunch of 20-year-olds.
Shut the fuck up.
But yeah, it was. This match was
You're
just.
not any better.
Yeah, I know. This match was so good on every level. Casey, shush.
Casey.
Sky Blue is 25.
He's 24. We're good.
This match, AJ, was, I think, the greatest of all time. I don't think there'll ever be a better match.
I'll have to find a way to rewatch it.
It's
Well,
children.
We're looking at porn. Don't interrupt.
But that match, it was just on every level. Mute their mics. On every level, it was just phenomenal storytelling. They each
Yeah, I'll have to watch that.
at one point, Ospreay went for the cutter. You know that Cody cutter that he does?
Yeah.
He does that, and Brian hit him with that knee.
Oh,
The psycho knee.
Yeah.
He hit him with that off of Cody cutter, or Oz cutter. And then we go from that into the Young Bucks and FTR in a ladder match. And this
And
was
the AEW, I mean, I'm not a big AEW guy, but they are putting together like real good shows that are competing with WWE all the time.
their pay-per-views are far and away better from an in-ring standpoint.
Okay, I can see that.
From a
I think
storytelling
the
standpoint,
storytelling in WWE, especially right now, is
it's
elite.
the best it's ever been. It's the best it's been since Austin McMahon.
Yeah.
Or Cena and Edge. Cena and Edge had a pretty good story.
Yeah, but I don't think that story was like as
I guess that
impactful.
was
Like,
more Hardy and Edge.
well, when you look at like the stories right now, it's like it's bigger than just wrestling fans caring about it. Like John Cena and Edge, people don't really know who Edge is unless you're a fan.
That's
I feel
true.
like.
That's true.
Whereas like Austin and McMahon, both of them rose to a level of stardom
Yeah.
over what normal wrestling fans know.
Yeah, everybody knows Stone Cold. Everybody knows Vince. But, so, we got the Young Bucks and FTR in a ladder match, and this was just a spot fest. All this was a spot fest. The crowd chanted, "Please be careful" at one point, because Cash wrecked himself. The ladder fell off the barricade when he hit it, and they both hit hard, and crowd chanted, "Please be careful." But it was cool. This match, I mean, it's what you'd expect from the Bucks and FTR. Dax was bleeding instantly. There's blood all over the canvas. What else would you expect from Dax, right?
Right.
And then the last match, it was a big moment. I didn't care about it. Swerve beat Joe for the title. Swerve doesn't do it for me. He's a good wrestler. He's just not my cup of tea. And I met him. I meet him. I was in the press conference. I'm going to say I met him. Seems like a great guy. He works his ass off. Deserved it. But his style is not for me. How do you feel about Swerve?
Pretty much echo. Like, I don't know. I'm not a big AEW guy, so like guys like Swerve or guys that are just too under the radar for me to care about, I would say.
Well, Swerve was in NXT for a while.
I'm not an NXT guy either. I'm just like Raw, SmackDown, and then I pay attention to everything around it.
Have you ever been in NXT?
At the peak of like the Braun Breaker era at NXT, NXT before it was like, now we're just kind of in a lull waiting for him to get moved up.
Okay.
I watched NXT, but I really only watched it. And then I like Carmelo Hayes from NXT. So there are like certain guys that I'll watch.
I like the Johnny Gargano, Adam Cole era.
Yeah.
That's
that I was not watching at that time.
I wasn't either. I've gone back and watched it. That was like 2018. Okay. I didn't start watching until like the end of 2020.
Okay.
So now I'm gonna play a clip here, and I hope it translates. So I was lucky enough to get to go to the press conference after the show. I'm gonna play this clip. I got to ask Tony a question. Hopefully it works. So we're gonna play it real quick.
All right, Tony. Jack Garner of 89.1 KCLC. We're going to ask you, everybody always talks about how great of a wrestling city St. Louis is. How do you think the crowd today lived up to that expectation?
It was fantastic. You know, it was years ago that I promised St. Louis they would get a great pay-per-view, and I think we lived up to it in every way, shape, and form, and the crowd lived up to it too. St. Louis is a great wrestling city with an amazing, amazing history. You know, when I was 12 years old, I used to talk to Luthez on AOL, and Luthez, and I picked up stuff from Luthez when I was like, Luthez taught me how great Buddy Rogers was, and he was totally right. When you go back and watch Buddy Rogers, like one of the best wrestlers of all time, one of the most influential of all time, and both of them, two of the most influential of all time. And great history of pro wrestling here in St. Louis, and I'm really happy that, you know, we've had shows here that have been excellent before, but tonight was by far the biggest attendance AEW's ever had. We had an amazing crowd, and I think one of the best shows we've ever done, and put our stamp and an indelible moment for AEW in the history of St. Louis wrestling, which is so rich. It's a great town, and it was great to have Dynasty debut here in St. Louis tonight. Thank you.
That was pretty cool. Getting to talk to him was really cool. I've always wanted to meet him. I don't get nervous. AJ, do you get nervous talking to people ever?
Oh. No, I haven't gotten nervous in a long time. I don't think there's anybody that I've met that I've been truly nervous in front of.
I hadn't been that nervous to meet somebody since I met The Miz.
Yeah, I also, I haven't met anybody, really.
I've met a pretty good amount of people. And this one was, I don't know if it's because, so I looked around the room right before I asked a question, and Denise from Fightful sitting right there, who I'm a huge fan of. She's one of my favorites in the wrestling media. She's sitting there. I look over. Do you know who Will Washington is?
No.
Have you ever heard of Grapsody?
No.
Okay. Well, you know Fightful, right? He used to work for Fightful.
Okay.
He did a show for Fightful, and he's really, really smart when it comes to wrestling. And he was standing next to me. You remember Brody or Luke Harper?
Yeah.
His wife standing next to me. Sky Blue's in the corner. Ospreay just left. Like, there's all these people that I'm big fans of. And they just give me a microphone. I was like, well, what do I do? Cool. Do I say, hi, Tony? Or do I say, Jack Garner, 89.1, KCLC? What do I say? Do I mention the podcast? I don't know what to do. So I did a little everything. I said, hey, Tony. And then I forgot how to talk for a second. He smiled and waved. And I was like, then I said where I'm from. And then the question. And it sounded better than it did in my head. But
well, there you go. That's all that matters.
But I tell you guys this. Anybody listening who's made it this far, if you're a wrestling fan and you didn't watch Dynasty, you're not a wrestling fan. Because Ospreay and Danielson you got to watch that match if you say you're a wrestling fan.
I will watch.
Find a way to watch it. Pay for it. Don't pay for it. Find a way. I'm sure it's on Daily Motion or something.
Yeah.
So, well, you guys got anything going on? Anybody want to plug anything? Beavis and Butthead over there got anything to say? Mm-hmm. Casey's. Mm-hmm.
Casey's taking a nap.
Casey, plug your adventures like in your truck.
Plug your Instagram.
Casey woke up.
Casey, plug your Instagram.
Plug your Instagram. We got to...
Trucker Casey.
Say it to the mic. This mic. No, to your right, idiot.
Shit.
Oh, my God.
It won't go that far.
Trucker Casey. Thank you.
All right. Ben, you got anything?
No.
AJ?
Fuck the world.
Out of Bounds Podcast on Spotify. Follow, download, share.
You got Instagram, TikTok, or anything?
Nope.
Nothing?
Nope, I don't do that.
All right, Emily.
You can follow me on Instagram at enkrak.
Check me out, Jack G568, I think. Please follow our Instagram, TikTok. It's some variation of We Don't Know Jack. It's one with the gooey butter cookies logo. Instagram, if We Don't Know Jack Pod. AJ, thanks for coming on today, buddy. We appreciate it. I know it was last minute, but thanks for talking with us. We had a good time.
Thanks for having me.
We'll look forward to talking to you again soon.
Yep. See you guys.
Good night, everybody.